Hello and welcome to the SME Focus show powered by MTDCNC. I'm Mark Weymouth from the Sensor Specialist Plus Automation, and as usual, here's another episode which aims to highlight aspects of the UK manufacturing or topics that are of interest to SMEs. My guest today is Stuart Berry, Manufacturing Director at the almost 163-year-old precision presswork company C.Brandauer, based in the heart of Birmingham. Hi Stuart, welcome to SME Focus.
Hi Mark.
Thanks for coming on, and I'm good, thank you. And it's exciting times there, so thanks for sparing us a bit of time.
It is.
First part of the show, however, is looking back at history, starting with yours and then Brandauer's. So I guess, like a lot of guests over the past year I've been presenting the show, you started life with MG Rover, and more importantly, you started out as an apprentice. And I really like to try and celebrate the apprenticeship route. And I think you're a great example, because apprenticeship's given you a hopefully rewarding 20 years career in manufacturing, and left and rolled forward to the point where you're now the part owner of quite a significant manufacturing company. So congratulations on starting as an apprentice and working up. And can I ask you therefore why you selected engineering, why you came through the apprenticeship route, and perhaps the cheekier question is why you left MG Rover so quickly to join Brandauer?
Yeah, thanks for that. So I chose engineering. I'm from a family of engineers. So my dad was a quality manager at a tier 1 OEM. He actually did his apprenticeship at Rolls-Royce as well. So I've got a history in the family of doing engineering. Grandparents were also, back in the old days, running manual milling machines and things. So yeah, long history of it, and very much into motorsport in my youth. So a big part of my life was engineering. So it seemed a natural progression to start an apprenticeship, as that's what the family had done and I'd seen the success they'd had. Obviously, cars was a big driver for myself. So I looked at several OEMs and felt at the time that MG Rover offered the best apprenticeship framework. So I started there in June 2005. And the reason I left is simple. It shut. So I got made redundant. Yeah, so I did my first 8 months, which predominantly was off-site training. So it was in the affiliated college, milling, turning, MVQ work. And it shut 8 months after me starting. So that led me to a crossroads, let's say. What am I going to do next? I wanted to carry on with my apprenticeship. An ambition of mine was always to get a degree of some sort in engineering. So that was really my driving point. So I then started looking at different programs. What could I do? Having been burnt by automotive, I wanted to steer clear of that a little bit. And really, I looked at many places and come across Brandau and thought, I didn't really know what tool making was at the time. But having seen the business, the precision, the history of the business, what they were doing, I really fell in love with the place. They also were willing to fulfill my framework that I started at MG Rover. So it was a roll-on of my existing qualifications, which was just great. And that was the start of my journey at Brandau, really. And here I am, 20 years later still.
Wow. Well, you've made me feel incredibly old, because I dealt with Rover a couple of years before the end, and you've just reminded me, Christ, that was 25. Well, my dealings with them was even longer than 25 years ago. It doesn't feel that long. So
no.
Cheers, you've ruined my morning, but hopefully you'll cheer everybody else up with an interesting tale. Okay. So you mentioned joining Brandauer in June 2005, and I tend to give a musical reference point somewhere in each episode. So I'm going to pick June 2005. People perhaps won't thank me for that, because the number one runaway hit for the many weeks of June 2005 was Crazy Frog by Axel F. So I apologise already for inflicting that earworm on everyone, but I couldn't resist. So heady days, 2005. So you joined Brandauer, as I mentioned in the intro. It's now a 163-year-old company, so it's still a pretty substantially old company when you joined. And it's probably most famous for starting out manufacturing pen nibs in the 1880s. Can you tell us about Brandau, and perhaps for some of the audience, explain what a pen nib is? No, seriously, can you tell us about the history of Brandau and why it's such a well-established company and so well known in the West Mids?
Yeah, so as you said, Brandau started out manufacturing pen nibs. And actually, the facility is based in Newtown. And although we're in a new facility now, we're less than 200 yards from the original building from the 1860s. They started manufacturing pen nibs. So this was very old-fashioned press tooling, where it was a simple punch and die, but they were very intricate, detailed nibs. And these are the old fountain pen. Dab it in an inkwell and write with it. There was lots of different shapes and variants. And at that time, Brandau were the world leading in pen nibs. Obviously, as time went on, the bit come along, people stopped using pen nibs. Brandau had to diversify and just carried on with that sort of precision stamping ethos. And really, over the next 100, 150 years, it was a continuation of that. So taking pressing from a manual operation into automation, into high speed, but it was always thin gauge, accurate, precision, aesthetically pleasing products. And that's really the journey that they went on. And obviously, over the last 20 to 30 years, we've changed into different sectors. So we don't do pen nibs anymore. We've not done them for a long time, but we do a lot of different components now. So right from plumbing fittings in your house. So everybody in the house now have got the plastic pipes. You push them together, they connect. We make the connectors in there. We do automotive. We do cable clips. We do laminations for EV motors. We've diversified a hell of a lot, but the main ethos has always been high speed, precision, thin gauge stamping. That is what Brandau is known as. So if you want anything less than 1 mil, and to be honest, 0.1 to 0.5 of a millimetre thick material, that's our finesse. That's where we work really good. Most of the parts we make, tolerances on the finished component is like 10, 20 microns. Therefore, the tooling that we manufacture is a considerably higher accuracy than that. So that's really where we've got to over time, that our skill set in manufacturing the precision press tooling, that's really our USP. How we do it, why we do it the way we do, that gives us ultimately the precision products at the end of the stamping. So that's what everyone knows us for, the high speed stamping, but actually it's all the methodology we've got that go into producing that product. And that really leads us to the next step in the journey, I'd say.
I remember last time I went around your plant seeing an incredibly high-speed press making parts for razor blades, and there seemed something almost seemed a loop. There seemed, I don't know, in my mind somehow a razor blade seemed a bit more related to a pen nib than a EV motor winding component or something. But I think hopefully razor blade parts helps explain to people, the precision and the fineness of the parts that you are stamping.
And since your visit, we've extended that really. So we're now on to 3 production lines doing razor frames for different companies, and they're running 24 hours, 4 days a week, 3 different production lines for 2 different customers, and sold across the world. So export is our biggest area, and these products are sold into Israel and Egypt.
I think that's amazing, because I'm probably guilty looking at them and thinking this is going to be made in China or possibly Germany, but not in the heart of the Midlands.
Yeah.
On the subject of heart of the Midlands, can you explain the history behind the name? Because I think a lot of people will read Brandau and think, oh, is it a UK office of a Swiss company or something? Obviously, the name perhaps misleads people a little bit to your heritage. Yeah,
so it has got Austrian descent. So go back to the original days when it started making pen nibs. That were 2 guys, the Petites and Brandauer, that come together, who were the world leaders at the time, started producing pen nibs together in Birmingham. And that's really where it carried on. And up until the MBO recently, it was still a family-owned 6th generation business for the 180 years. And there was still Petites and Brandauers owning some of the business. So it's a good family-owned business. That's what it's always been. Fantastic.
So we talked about your beginning. You're now sitting with the heady title of manufacturing director, having been the engineering manager. You touch a little bit about how the tool making is key really to what you're about, because you're in the precision end. Can you tell us a little bit more about the tool making, and I guess also talk about the importance to the business, and therefore the fact that it is something very much intrinsic within your business. It's not something that you buy in out from outside.
Yeah. So, as I said, everyone knows Brandau is precision, high-speed stamping, but the stamping's only as good as the tool. And for us, doing thin gauge, 0.1 thick material, the tool has to be manufactured to an accuracy of 2 to 3 microns, every part in it, to give us the finished desired result. So as a business, we manufacture different things that we put in the tool that might be different to other people to allow us to run the high volume. So really the key for us is we've always made tools for customers and we run the tools. So it's in our interest to make a tool that's as accurate and precise and going to run for as long as it possibly can, because it's us that's going to run it. So we try and mitigate all the failure modes that we can to give us a maximum run. And when I say maximum runs, we're talking between 8 and 10 million between services on certain tools. Those are the numbers we need to be hitting, which means we've got a high quality tool and still holding 10, 20 microns of tolerance. So yeah, the key for us is that tool making knowledge and skill set that we've got. And I'd say the most important thing of that is, look, skill shortage is massive for us in the UK. Skills such as hands-on precision tool making is definitely a dying trade. So for us as a business, apprenticeships are the way forward. We've always done it. Myself being an apprentice, we've got 20% of the business is apprentices currently. It's key that we start training the next generation and keep moving forward with that.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a little bit about apprentices in a moment, but before I do, just maybe to put into context, obviously precision and microns is just your everyday, so you're throwing out, oh, something's accurate to a couple of microns and we run hundreds of thousands to a couple of microns. I will just mention for anybody who's not as au fait with microns and what a micron is, a human hair is usually considered to be somewhere between 20 and 200 microns, so you're talking fractions of a human hair. It's just your general conversation topic that you throw out as if, oh, it's really insignificant that we're working to microns. So I thought it was worth mentioning to people that you're talking tenths or hundredths of human hair is just your general everyday conversation.
Yeah, and that's what makes Brandau unique, because that is our normal conversation. It's not millimeters, it's microns.
Fantastic. If I was to ask you what other aspects make Brandau unique, what do you do different to other people? What things would you highlight?
So I'd say the big thing for us is, so as a business, we've won in 2019 the Queen's Award for Export, and in 2024 we won the King's Award for Innovation. So what we do, it's a high precision, but we're always innovating. We're always having to look at things differently and push the boundaries of what we've always done to get that extra 1 micron in accuracy or improvement in the efficiency of the component we're manufacturing for our end user. So I'd say that the real nice bit behind Brandau is the culture that we've got. So the people, but also allowing us to go and innovate. We're allowed to think outside the box and push the limits. And that's what we encourage all day, every day. There's no wrong answer. We always keep moving forward together, and we make mistakes along the way, but we're all working towards that common goal at the end and pushing the envelope of what we can achieve.
Are you able to explain in a few words, or simply enough for us, what that Innovation Award was about, what it was in connection with?
Yeah, so the Innovation Award, a couple of things really. So we've been doing a lot of EV motor work for big OEMs, a couple of big OEMs that we all know about in the UK. We've helped there. So thin gauge for us is the bread and butter. When that comes to electric motors, that is the prize that everybody wants because it gives an increased efficiency. So that's what we do. So people are coming to us. It's the norm. We carry on doing it and we're helping develop that next step. At the same time, we've also launched with our partners, Income Training Services, a tool making training course. So it's the first one in the country. Now, I'm a tool making apprentice, and we all say we went to college and did tool making, but the true skills that you need for tool making, it isn't taught in that first year off the job training. It's what is slug retention, what is land and taper, why do you apply the pressures you do? It's all that sort of information, and nobody teaches it. Not in the UK. There's no training courses. So we teamed up with Incom. We developed this course together. It's delivered within Incom in my tool room, which is making new tools. So all my new tools are produced in Incom with my guys. And then companies such as OEMs put their tool makers onto the course. They then taught the theoretical as well as the practical hands-on experience with my guys manufacturing a tool. And that's why we won the Innovation Award. We're the first people in the UK to do it, because we understand the skill shortage that everybody's got. All of us are suffering with it. And if tool makers can come and work to a micron, they can easily work at the other end of tool making, which is a millimetre. And that was our ethos, and it's been embraced well. And as I say, we won the Innovation Award because of it.
Fantastic. And roughly how many apprentices do you take on each year, if you were to give a very rough average over the last few years?
So, it varies year on year. I'll move areas in the business. So we have apprentices in every area. So that's not just tool making, it's press shop, it's quality, it's administration. I'd say on average, it's 3 or 4 every year. But as a business, we probably have 12 to 15 apprentices at a time at different points in their apprenticeship.
Amazing.
It's roughly 20% of the business is made up of apprentices. And I'll take that one step further, that 50% of our senior management team are ex-Brandau apprentices. So it's a proven process that works for us.
Well, I think that's a pretty amazing thing to say and to celebrate on a show like this at the weekend. It almost feels like we could end there, but we've got more exciting things to talk about. So but that was a pretty big high to hit early on. So the other big news, and the reason really for this episode, because I know Brandau have been on previously when Chris was hosting the show, but the big news is to talk about the management buyout. So can you tell us the reasoning behind the management buyout, how it went about, and I guess how you see the future for yourself and the business going forward? Maybe not, I'm not going to ask you the next 160 years, but perhaps we can talk about the next decade or so.
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to start by saying it has been a family-owned business for the 163 years. So all credit to the Petits and Brandauers that have still held on to the business all that time and allowed it to spend money, invest and flourish into what it is today. I think the crossroads really come that none of those were directly working in the business, so they made a decision that it's time for them to step away. And obviously at that point, lots of people would be interested, but for myself, Rowan and David, we really believe in what Brandau is, the culture, the ethos. We believe in the product and keeping UK manufacturing in the UK, growing and moving forward and exporting to the world. We are the leaders in engineering. Let's keep that. And we believe in it so much, we've put out our money into it, and that's why we're here today. Like I say, we passionately believe about Brandau in the future. This is a long-term venture for the three of us that we want to keep Brandau growing and moving forward and diversifying even further.
Okay. We've talked about the constant diversification that's made the business live so long, from pen nibs on to many other things. And, I guess 10, 15 years ago to be talking about EV motors would have been a very strange thing, not a concept of a volume production part. So I realise it's a hard question to ask, but do you have a feel for future diversification or trends that you're looking into at the minute? Yeah,
so there's a few things. Obviously, on the back of the buyout, we've sat down and done a new strategic plan for the business. And really, we want to use our engineering expertise and push that a bit further. So we've always been a high precision, high volume stamping company. Great, that's what we do. That's the end of the journey. We're actually here to support other companies develop and engineer the way out of a solution that ultimately will end up in a stamp product. So for us, we want to use our methodology and manufacturing techniques to support in the early days. So we've recently invested in a laser cutting machine for thin gauge. So 0.1 millimeter up to 1 millimeter thick, which is predominantly what we stamp. But there's not many lasers out there working to that sort of thin gauge, and we can maintain 15 to 20 microns accuracy on these laser cut parts. We've also then got the facility to bend the parts to allow us to get touchy-feely, so low volume products for anybody that wants some, or for customers to do development trials to get to the end goal. We've also recognised, look, our USP of tool making is only as good as our manufacturing techniques. So let's start selling those techniques as well. I've personally done consulting with other stamping companies. I'm happy to go in and tell them this is how we do it in the UK. This is why we do it. This is the reasons why, and allow them to grow their own skills in-house. We're all about helping people and companies develop and move forward by embracing our manufacturing technologies. So the next step for us is to keep pushing that now, offer wire erosion, subcontract tool making, different kit elements of what we do, bonding, laminations, consulting, all these different things are what's going to push us forward now. Stamping is a natural byproduct of all that. So let's use that and push that out to the rest of the world.
You mentioned the Queen's Award for Export earlier, and throughout the conversation you've talked a lot about export, which is an amazing thing. So can I ask you roughly what sort of percentage of your sales are export?
Okay, so when we won the Queen's Award for export, at that point we were roughly 80% export, and most of it was going to China for sub-assembly into things like kettles and then shipped around the world. Today, we're probably about 60% export, and no longer do anything for the kettle switch industry. This is now made up of automotive connectors. It's made up of the razor frames that we discussed earlier, and E-Loping products, which is a solderless connector. We're the only licensed UK company to manufacture these. And these are, instead of soldering into boards, which gives a weak joint and releases oxidants, this is a solderless connector. So you push it in the hole and it acts as a spring and grips. So it's very big in automotive, and it's starting to get there in aerospace.
Interesting. Okay. So again, another classic example of the evolution of the business, I guess, as the Chinese have got the skills up themselves, but you've got to be that head, you've got to be that bit in front of the market and finding things. And it's, I guess, much easier when you're right at the cutting edge of technology and ability. Yeah,
definitely. It's all about that innovation and staying in front of everyone else.
Yeah, fantastic. A personal question, maybe not as bad as that sounds. Can I ask you to reflect on 20-something years ago, you start out, you're young, you think you're going to change the world, and then MG Rover changes your world. So you start over again, or you continue your apprenticeship at this funny place that once made pen nibs. Did you ever imagine, or how do you think, looking back on your career, coming up, having a very successful career, and then moving to actually become a part owner of a very successful business? How do you reflect back on that? Do you laugh at what your younger self would have thought?
Yeah, definitely. The MBO is something that was never on my mind, to be honest. I would say I was always a driven person, so I always had the aspiration, even back at MG Rover, of getting my degree and becoming MD of a business. That was always something that I drove for. So yeah, I was always confident I'd get there one day. As for buying a business, that wasn't something that even entertained. I entertained till the last 3-4 years. And then start thinking, I love doing this. My kids are now in the business. This is what we do as a family, and I love it so much that I want to keep moving forward. And once the opportunity come along, it was too good to say not really. So I put everything into it, and here we are. And hopefully we've got another 160 years to keep going as a business.
Fantastic. Well, I assumed when I first heard about the management buyout that you'd sort of committed your life and possibly your home and your pension. I didn't know you'd also committed your kids to the business. So that's always going for it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, my son's just gone 21, so he started his apprenticeship here at 16 as a tool maker. So that tradition of family engineers is already carrying on.
Brilliant. I'm guessing a lot of people will watch this at the weekend. It goes out on a Saturday morning, so its purpose really is to be watched at the weekend. So can I ask, if you could even entertain such a thing, what do you talk about at the weekend that isn't about work? So you've stood in the kitchen talking to somebody at a party, or stood in the pub. What do you talk about when you're not sat in front of the computer screen and these strange video conference thingies?
It's still probably engineering, to be honest. But aside from that, yeah, Formula One, big into Formula One, watch that every weekend it's on. And a lot of my friends and family all do as well. So that's a big topic we talk about. Golf, I've started playing golf the last couple of years. So that's another one for the banter around the kitchen, especially as a lot of my family play. And it's, it gets a bit fruity at times. And then,
fantastic.
Yeah, so we the other thing really is we got a family caravan out in Aberystwyth, and a lot of my family have also got caravans. We spend most of the weekends there, playing golf, playing on the sea, having a good social time as a family, really. That's my weekends in a nutshell. And a bit of sailing to go alongside that as well.
Okay, sounds good, and sounds like you've got several things to take your mind off the stress of work and to sort of live a different life at the weekend. So that sounds exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. It's a tradition on the show that I inherited from Chris, so I'll use his sort of classic question. Can I ask what you've got planned, or what do you hope to achieve in the next 12 months? And that could be business, that could be personal, it can be some ridiculously highfalutin dream, or just a little target. What's the next 12 months look like?
Well, so the next 12 months really on the back of an MBA, it's got to be work orientated for me. That's got to be the forefront of everything for me. So really, the next step is to launch these other manufacturing methodologies that we've got, the laser, cutting, the bending, and expand on our manufacturing footprint. So we've currently got the 2 facilities, one at Incom doing the new tooling and the main facility stamping. I want to expand that a bit more, give a bigger footprint, allow us to produce more. Not the stamping side, the machining. So that's really what the next 12 months will bring. And also, what one hot bit of the news for us, we've just won a new project, which is hard to explain. So it's stamping and automation, which is something we've never done. We've always stamped parts, we clean them and re-reel them. That's the normal stamping. We've now got an assembly technique that we're going to stamp 3 different components, assemble them in-house in an automatic line, and then start shipping them to Poland. So that's a new technology that we're just starting to innovate now, and the next 12 months should really see that taking off. So yeah, work. Sorry.
That's all right. You've got my ears pricking up when you start talking about automation, so I'll be badgering you about that after. So can I ask, how do people find out more about Brandauer, and how do they maybe follow or contact yourself?
Yeah, so to find out a bit about Brandau, if you want to have a look on our website, we've got a really up-to-date website that shows all the different avenues of business we do, not just the stamping, the people, the apprenticeships. If anybody out there wants an apprenticeship, we take a cohort on every September time. Please have a look on the website. The other medias you could look at us, LinkedIn, we've got a good LinkedIn page, and you'll actually find myself, Rowan, and the other guys on there. Feel free to reach out to us and ask anything you want.
Brilliant. Okay. Before I sign off the episode, do you have a final sentence, question, or thought that you'd like to share? What would you like to sign off by saying?
Let's keep UK manufacturing great. I think that's the comment for me. Let's all work together as a UK team and keep moving forward together.
Fantastic. Well, I think many people might say it, but I think you guys deserve the credit, and definitely you're able to say it, having invested your working lives and then now also your own money and your passion, and in your case, even your children, into the business. So congratulations for your commitment to UK manufacturing. Thanks, Stuart, for being a guest. I'm going to just wrap up with a few of the usual words to bore people, so they probably cut at this point. If you'd like to get in touch with the show with a comment, a suggestion, or if you'd like to appear on a future episode, please email us at inquiries@mtdcnc.com or contact myself, Stuart Whitehead, or Joe Reynolds. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. From me, Mark Weymouth at Plus Automation. Cheers. Have fun.